Parshas Balak. In this week's Parsha, the king of Moab, Balak, engages a sorcerer, an evil prophet, a fellow who by reputation he could get things done by the utterances of his words. Oh, his name is Bilam. He engages Bilam to curse the children of Israel. Balak is afraid of them. And so he figures he's got to use every means at his disposal. And one of them is this fellow, Bilam. He engages Bilam. Bilam says, okay, but whatever God tells me, that's what I'm going to do. So he asks God. And he gets a tepid reply. It's not a full-throated endorsement. It's somewhat ambiguous, but it's good enough for him. So he saddles up his donkey and he heads to the children of Israel to let him have it, to blast them. Now, on the way, he has an episode with the donkey. The donkey starts moving around and crushing his leg, and Bilam gets very frustrated, and he takes out his stick to hit him. Now, the donkey is freaked out because he sees an angel of God with a sword in his hand. Not an inviting image. So he halts, but Bilam does not see this image. So he's just whacking at his donkey and saying, what is going on? He said, if I had a sword, I would kill you. And the donkey opens his mouth. The verse reads as follows. This is verse 28. The Torah reads as follows. Vayivtach Hashem es pi ha'oson. And God opened the mouth of the donkey. Vatomer leVilam. And she says to Bilam, what did I do to you that you hit me 3 times? A talking donkey. How does Bilam reply to this phenomenon? Phenomenon so miraculous that the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says that this is one of among the many 10 miraculous aberrations of nature that God created at the time of the creation of the world. It's we don't see talking animals. So Bilam does not get off the saddle and say, oh my God, a talking donkey. What does he do instead? Bilam says to the donkey asks him a question, he gives him an answer. He says, why, you asked, why did I hit you? Because you mocked me. If I had a sword, I'd kill you. What? That's how you respond when an animal starts engaging you in conversation? What is going on here? Schwab asks this question. And he says, well, let's look at what we know about Bilam's personality, besides what's here in the Torah, which in the Torah could be, without the observation of Chazal, of the rabbis, could come across as maybe not the greatest saint, but at least morally an ordinary guy. But he's held in contrast in Pirkei Avos, the Ethics of the Fathers, in the 5th chapter. He's contrasted with Avram. This is in Mishnah Chav Gimel 23. It says, anybody who has these 3 things is a student of Avram Avinu, of Abraham. What are they? So they're Ayin Tova, that means a good eye, gracious, Ruach Nemucha, humble, V'nefesh Shvala, and of a low spirit. What it really means is low maintenance, low material desire, not seeking a life of indulgences. And so anybody who has those characteristics, the Mishnah says, is of the school, is a student, as it were, of Avram Avinu, of Abraham. The opposite are characteristics of Bilam. He has ayin ra'ah, an evil eye, meaning that he's not looking kindly upon other people. Ruach gavoa, haughtiness, v'nefesh rechava, and a very large appetite for physical indulgences. So we know this. This is the characteristic of Bilam. Bilam is all about himself. We might call him a narcissist, self-centered, egotistic. He is out for himself. He certainly isn't out for other people. He's out for himself. Every opportunity that he sees is an opportunity to build his wealth, to feed his temptation, to feed his lust. It's all about him. But Schwab says that a person like that has lost the ability to be inspired, has lost the reaction, the normal human reaction when you see a talking donkey is to go, whoa, that is wild. Doesn't do it. And somebody who is very focused on himself, it takes a lot, even more than a talking donkey. What does it take? It takes for him to be at risk of losing his life. When he sees that he's at risk of losing his life, then he notices what's around him. How do we see that? Because we see when the Almighty finally opens, if you, as it were, Bilam's eyes, as it says in Pasuk Lamed Aleph, that's 31. The verse says, "Vayigal Hashem es einei Bilam." Hashem opened the eyes, revealed the vision of what was in front of him. Vayaris Malach Hashem nitzav b'derech, and he sees the angel of God who is standing firmly in the road. V'charbo shlufa b'yado, and he has an unsheathed sword in his hand. Vayikod vayishtachu lapav. Then he bows, and he bends down and he bows in a symbol of submission. Why? Presumably because he's at risk of losing his life. Well, this life that wants to acquire things and engage in feeding his temptation. So if he loses his life, he doesn't have that. So he's very, very fearful of losing his life. But under normal circumstances, he doesn't. There's a Yiddish phrase to chapis pilas, to be inspired and moved by events. A person who can't be inspired by nature has a very difficult time having a relationship, whether it's of love or of fear, with God. Because nature is the way God communicates to us. Now, in this case, it was an aberration. It was an abrogation of the laws of nature through which Hashem was communicating with Bilam, and that didn't get off to a good start. We contrast this with the language of the Rambam. The Rambam in Hilchos Hatorah, the laws of the fundamentals of the Torah. This is the very beginning of Beis, the beginning of the second chapter. He talks about how does a person acquire a love of God, a reverence of God. So he says, what's the way in which you can acquire a love of God, a fear of God? A person should contemplate nature, should contemplate the works of God, his handiwork, the creatures that he has created. He sees an infinite wisdom and capability that is necessary to create a world such as the one that we have. As the Tehillim says, the heavens declare the honor of God. If someone really contemplates nature, he can't help but be inspired if he has the type of spirit that is inclined to be inspired. So then, what does the Rambam say? Miyadu ohev, immediately he loves. Umishabeach, umfoer, umisave tavagedola leda Hashem agadol. He loves God, he praises God, he can't hold himself back from connecting to God in a very profound way. And he has a tremendous longing. Taiva is a longing. It's even when it comes to sexual relations, it's the term that Chazal use for lust, but it means that he has a very strong desire to connect, to understand God, to have a close relationship with God. And he says he has this strong desire to know God and then he quotes Tehillim, Membeis Gimel, which is 42:3, where David HaMelech, the author of the Psalm, says, my soul, my desire longs for God, for the living God. And then he says, and when he thinks about these things, then immediately he has a profound reverence and even fear of God, because somebody who can do this, it is fantastic, but it's also awesome, produces awe in somebody who's sensitive to it. But if you're not, if your whole focus is inward, the more a person focuses inward, the less able he is to notice and to be inspired by nature. And this is consistent with the observation of Rabbi Elazar HaKapor in Pirkei Avos. This is the fourth parak, the fourth chapter, Mishnah Chavches 28. Rabbi Elazar HaKapor Omer, Hakino v'taiva v'kovod motzinas adam min ha'olam. Jealousy, lust, and the pursuit of honor takes a person out of this world. And what does this phrase, takes a person out of this world, mean? According to Rav Schwab's understanding of Bilam's failure to be inspired by a talking animal, taking a person out of the world may well mean that his senses become dulled to things that don't fit into this category of feeding his temptation, of his jealousy, of his lust, of his desire for honor. Those are things which cause him to focus on himself. And if he's focused at all on other things, it's only how they can feed his base instincts. And so, according to this, we can enhance our spirituality by looking for ways to be inspired by nature, to look around and to say, Mo Rabu Masach Hashem, how great are your works? I want to be close to you. Have a good Shabbos.